How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Everyone's having a lovely day. Bengals, Browns, part 2 of the season. Browns coming in, 3 wins. Season is over, kind of in that part of the season where you're still gonna have guys playing tough, playing strong, because it does, it does mean a lot for especially the younger guys, maybe some of the guys that aren't your premier players, to make an impact, showcase what they got around the league. And, Winston, even a kind of prime example there in this one where, he's probably still hoping somewhere, some way this man can find a starting job again. And, you can see why he does, continue to get opportunities in this league, because he is a great player. He just makes mistakes throwing the football. And that's going to be a lot of this football game here for the Cleveland Browns, Bengals, Browns in general here. Is I do think Winston's going to put up big numbers. This is the Bengals defense. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just been tough. It's been a tough season. They more injuries just coming. Logan Wilson, Sam Hubbard with the PCL, and you're probably going to miss this week. I'd have to assume if it does come out to be a PCL. Looking for more information on that one right now. But with Sam Hubbard's injury of Logan Wilson, you already lost two of your 3 starting CBs on the season. It's been tough on a team that was already struggling to stop opposing teams for this Bengals defense. But you got to give them credit. You don't see anybody in this locker room blaming the defense. Nobody's finger pointing. Nobody's, there's nobody creating drama. And that, it's a team game. They're still trying to do their best to hold themselves accountable, do their part in the game to help their team win football games. And that's going to be the situation for the Bengals this week, is trying to find other people to help them win football games and trying to force Jameis Winston to create turnovers, because Jameis Winston creating turnovers, the Bengals, that's what's going to be the key for this team. I don't see the Bengals defense. They might force them to punt once or twice all game. That's just the story of the Bengals Browns in history here. Is Stefanski has just loved playing the Cincinnati Bengals. Lou Anarumo was that kid. They just have not had an answer for him. They haven't. Joe Burrow is throwing for under 240 in every single game the last 3 years against this team. 181, his worst game of the season, even this year. From a passing yard standpoint, minus the start of the year where he had the wrist problem still, was his worst game of the season, was against the Cleveland Browns. Meanwhile, it doesn't matter who the Browns throw back there under center. They seem to tear apart the Bengals defense. We've seen it with Baker. Deshaun Watson looked like he was about to break out. People thought, oh, here we go. 15-17. Unfortunately, goes down with the injury in the game against the Bengals last time. And we did see Thompson come in, make a couple mistakes, throw a couple interceptions. Ultimately, Bengals would win a football game 21-14. But now we're going to see Winston come in, a guy that we know can sling, a guy who I expect him to throw for 350 something this week, 350 plus. But will we see the Bengals do what they've done pretty well, actually, on defense, which is create a couple turnovers in games? Put their defense or offense in a position to win the football game. They're having a hard time stopping teams, but they are coming up clutch with some interceptions. You're seeing the deflections. You're seeing this team come out, laying out, making efforts, catching the ball in those situations. Much like last week, we've seen came with the deflection. Was it Cam Taylor-Britt though, or was it Anthony? I can't remember who that was now. Anyway, you seen there was the deflection by one player. The other guy came across the field, dove and caught it. Plays like that. Making the most of the opportunities while you have them. Bengals defense has done all right with that. Bengals offense on the flip side then has to, again, what we've been seeing and what we've been waiting for is we have to see them pull away. We have to see them capitalize. That is what they've struggled with this season, is pulling away, capitalize. They've done excellent at staying in football games. They've done excellent at picking apart defenses limb for limb. Joe Burrow having the best season of his career. Jamarr Chase having the best season of his career. Chase Brown looking like a breakout running back, suddenly starting to pencil his way into as a potential, you look at the Bengals and say, top 5 Bengal player right now. Chase Brown has been impressive week after week after week. Again, we've seen it last week. It looks like there's some plays where there's nothing. Stop at the line of scrimmage. He makes the power his way through, squeak his way through, get a few extra yards, 3, 4, 5 yards. And that is just music to the ears to us Bengals fans, having a guy like Chase Brown back there. Because again, if anybody that can compliment Joe Burrow a little bit in the run game is going to make things very, very scary for opposing defenses. And I think the reason, though, you go back to the Browns, always finding a way to keep the Bengals in check. You look at this Browns defense, and I think it's got a lot to do with, not just, again, credit Stefanski. This guy's been a mastermind against the game planning against the Bengals, no question about it. But you look at them, they're just such a layered defense. You got Myles, Garrett on your defensive line, obviously one of the best pass rushers in the league. And then you complement that on the other side with one of the best run stuffers in the league. You go in the secondary, you got a couple linebackers You know, you got Hicks out there playing excellent football. You got the secondary. You got Denzel Ward. You got Hickman. I mean, they got guys in every layer of this defense where you can't. Bill Burrow, one of the things he does is he anticipates. He picks apart the defense, reads the defense, and does very, very good. The Browns, a team that has the ability to kind of disguise things in a way where you can't just favor this area or favor this area because they have so many dynamic players in different parts of the field. And I think we see a lot of that with Cleveland, where Burrow has a hard time getting to the man that he wants to right away. And when he's got to hold on to that football again, that's where Myles, Garrett, and company start to do their damage. I will say, though, for this football game, it feels like there is a lot on the line for the Bengals. Not so, specifically their coach, Zac Taylor. We just brought it up. They have not had an answer for the Cleveland Browns, pending some injuries, pending some late in the season teams out of it. For the most part, they have not had an answer for the Cleveland Browns, and they have not had an answer for division games, and they have not had an answer for winning on their home turf. We're doing all three of those this week. If the Bengals get eliminated by a 3-11 Cleveland Browns team and the Broncos manage to lose, boy, again, the same things keep happening season after season after season, and you have to believe Zac Taylor is going to be on the hot seat. How much, though? What kind of credit does Mike Brown give this guy? Again, we talked about the injuries, especially on the defense. When you're missing multiple guys in your secondary, you're missing multiple guys in your defensive line. I mean, you are missing a lot. And I think it's going to be a chance for, some of these Cleveland guys to showcase themselves. A chance for Cleveland to move around, be dynamic, move the football up and down the field through the air. They got Jerry Jeudy now. If Cedric Tillman comes back healthy, I mean, this guy's been a rising star really for Cleveland throughout in the midst of this season before the concussion. And you got Njoku. If he can stay healthy, we know they got some weapons in Cleveland. They got the ability, even with the Bengals defense was healthy, they're kind of difficult to match up with when things are going right. Unfortunately, a lot's not been going right for them this season, but when things are going right, they can be a little bit difficult to match up with. When Nick Chubb's playing his best, somebody we haven't talked about for this matchup right now, Nick Chubb. It's just, again, ain't too many injuries, I think. You get later into your career, you start to get a couple more injuries than normal. The offensive line's not as elite as it once was, and Nick Chubb's been struggling. He hasn't been the Nick Chubb of recent. Again, you can say what you will about their defensive or offensive line, but we do know Nick Chubb was premier. We just called, even last year, we was calling him the best pure running back in the league. Even with a bad offensive line, we see him break tackles, move the pile a little bit, and get a little bit more than he is right now. And I think that makes it a little bit easier for the Bengals to potentially game plan in this one if we think the Browns are going to be a little bit more biased to throwing the football. Ultimately, I look at this Bengals team. I expect a Joe Burrow to play Superman Joe Burrow. We're starting to see it more and more. We've seen it last week as well, where he's trying to take a few more chances, try to stretch the plays out, dance around a little bit more back there because he just knows the pressure's on him to score every single drive. Part of that, though, comes with more fumbles in the pocket. Maybe an error throw here and there because he's trying to force something. That is what is going to be the difference maker, I think, in this football game. When we see Joe Houdini Burrow, does he fumble the football? Does he throw an interception? Or do we see none of that? Do we see the clean games? Do we see the Houdini Burrow, the jump passes? How did he escape that complete pass? We've seen some of everything last week in that Tennessee Titans game. It was a sloppy football game, but we also seen premier primetime Joey B playing some of his best ball, dropping dimes in the bucket. And I think ultimately it's going to come down to who plays the clean game in this one is who's going to win this football game. I'm going to take the quarterback who takes much more care of the football in this one in Joe Burrow. I will say though, hey, the Broncos lose Thursday night. We could see a really depleted Bengals team in this one because Broncos win, their season's over. Broncos have to lose out. Bengals have to win out if they want to make the playoffs. Broncos will play Thursday night. Broncos win. I could see the Browns winning this one without question. Broncos lose. Bengals going to come in here again. December, Joe Burrow, gotta win, gotta have it. I think they find a way to win this one. 31-27. Love y'all's thoughts. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.